Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, possibly mixed with some Am I the Asshole as well. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that cheeky notification bell too. Just look at it, give it a tap. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, today's first story comes from a throwaway account. It's titled, My 25 male girlfriend, 22 female, wants to share our incomes. Thing is, I make roughly 7 times as much. Advice, please. So, here is the deal. Me and my girlfriend have been together for a little under 3 years and have been living together for a few months. My girlfriend takes college classes and works part-time. I finished college 2 years ago. Quickly got hired by the company I did my internship at, and within a year, I got a promotion and a large pay rise. I am now making roughly 150k a year, while she makes 20k a year. Now, she moved in with me a few months ago into a place I bought, so I pay nearly all costs: mortgage, electricity, water, etc. The only thing she pays for herself are non-essentials like Spotify, phone bill, Netflix, and so forth. Now, recently we got into a huge fight where she demanded we pool our money together and spend what is left after essential costs together. Whereas I currently pay basically every essential and my own shit, use a bit to enjoy myself and put the rest into my savings. Now, she seems to be jealous I got a lot more to spend, which is not really true since after our monthly costs I put the majority in my savings account. In my eyes, she already gets an easy ride, and honestly, she is just shit with the money she does have. She spends it on crap like stupidly expensive clothes and then complains that she is broke at the end of the month. So what do? I hate to put money in the way of our relationship, but if I am honest, I'm questioning my relationship as there is no way I'm going to let her essentially spend my salary on stupid shit. Edit, so there are so many comments I'm having a hard time keeping up with it. If I don't respond, know that I'm trying to at least read your comment. But currently when I read and respond to one comment, I get 10 more, lol. I just want to thank everyone for their responses, from the ones who yell gold digger to the ones who take a middle ground approach. Even those who yell about MGOW, is that the men go their own way or something, and those who are of the opinion that I need to give her all money because of pink tax or something. All advice is appreciated and gives me an extra light to view in this. I had not expected my post to blow up like this though. Lol. I know many people who are married, like later in life, who still have their separate accounts, their separate finances, and then have like one account for their bills, and they contribute in a way that makes it fair on the other. So if one's earning say 100k, one's earning 50k, the one with 100k I put in like so much extra percent to sort of make it balanced in a way for the bills, etc. And I also know people from the other side as well who have pooled their money and said, that they trust one another with their money, etc., etc. And I think it's always going to be different between different couples and your future goals, what you want out of life. Some people I know, will say, I'm only here once. I'm going to spend the money the way that I want to and enjoy my life. Other people are like, I want to retire early, so I'm going to save as much as I can now. I think you just need to be on the same page on this. Otherwise, there's just going to be resentment from both sides constantly, really. And I think if I was in OP's position and, I could see the person wasn't responsible with money, there's no way I'd be handing that over to be just, spent on clothes and stuff, especially when you're trying to save it, potentially for your futures. Where you go from here, I don't know, because, she's clearly got something about you having this money and something needs to be discussed so you're on a level playing ground in some way. Otherwise, I can only see this topic coming up time and time again. I think she needs to understand where you are with your money, what that you're saving your money, potentially, like I said, potentially for your futures. But Savage Beaver says, definitely don't do that. Sadly, money is a part of a relationship no matter what. One big question you should ask yourself and her, are you both fairly contributing towards the same goals? If the answer is anything but yes, resentment will build to incredible amounts. Speaking from my personal experience. OP replies saying, well, that is the thing. My primary goal at this stage in my life is working a lot and saving a lot of money. That doesn't mean I do not spend on her or myself every now and again, but yeah, primary goals are that. I want to make sure I have plenty of money for a rainy day essentially. Whereas her goal as it stands is getting through college, but financially she does not seem to have a real goal. Her money is essentially something she can freely spend. As such, if she wanted to, she could work more or at least have a huge chunk of her income, which seems to want to spend on luxury goods. TD69 says, I'm not going to read all the other comments. Basically, it comes down to what you believe your future is with this woman. I make about $160,000 per year and my wife doesn't work. I trust her completely to spend our money as she sees fit. She has never given me a reason not to and takes care of our daughter and household in general. Raisin Ball says exactly right. We pooled money before we got married, but I had no question in my mind that we were going to be married. At the time I had a small business and brought home kind of a lot of money for being in my mid-20s, something around $300k. We traveled a couple of months a year together, did all kinds of fun shit. She worked at a school and made $30k, but she was going to be and now is my wife, so who cares? Everything is ours. Penny Lane says, so my boyfriend 22 makes $80k while I 21 make $39k a year. What works for us is splitting to a relatively even amount. For example, we each put 15% of our month's salary to rent. His cash amount is higher than mine, but it affects our salaries the same. I pay cable since it's the same every month, and he pays electricity since he can afford the fluctuation. We each split groceries. If we go on dates or to dinner, he pays, but if we get breakfast, I pay. I'd make a sheet to see how much you put towards your living situation so you have an actual dollar amount to work off of. But as someone who makes significantly less than my partner, just know that she probably feels really shitty as is. It's hard for me to know that I have a lot less than my boyfriend does. He gets to buy himself watches and lots of fun stuff is added to his budget every month. He can afford to buy himself lunch every day, whereas I get maybe 1 or 2 treat yourself items and I can't afford to buy coffee every morning, let alone a meal out every day. It's just a hit to her ego is all. I worked so hard in college, 3 times as hard as my boyfriend. I came out with loans, no scholarships, but my GPA went from B to C average in high school to a 3.4 overall in college. He went in with basically a full ride and the rest his parents covered, and his overall college GPA was like a 2.5. I worked my ass off and it hurt to come out making less, but that's the hand I was dealt. She just needs support from a relationship aspect, and even if you don't understand, pretend to, because she probably feels bad enough. And one more from Small Sacrifice who says she wants to spend the rest. 60k? Dude. Then say, girlfriend, there is no way I'm going to pool money with you because you are not responsible with your own money, let alone with mine. I already pay for your expenses. I'm not going to sacrifice more money so you can spend more. Financial responsibility is more important to me, and I hope you start making it important to you as well. So then OP came in with the update which said, so I figured since the post sort of blew up 3 weeks ago and people requested me to make an update to tell them what I ended up doing. Well, here goes. Well, in the shortest way possible, I ended up breaking up with her. I realized in part, thanks to some good advice I had gotten, there was more that was bothering me other than the financial part. Thing is, when thinking to myself in the next few days, I felt myself combing over every little detail of our relationship and quickly realized I was putting in way more than what I got back. No, I'm not saying I am some perfect saint, but I do think I deserve someone who appreciates what I already do, especially when what I already do vastly outweighs what she did in our relationship. Also, a big one was the apparent maturity gap between the two of us, which I looked over with my rose-tinted in-love glasses, whereas I have changed as a person from who I was when we started dating. She is pretty much the same identical person, and without trying to badmouth her, that is a person you can be without any issues when you are between 15 and 20, not when you're in a committed relationship. Thinking about having kids at some point, manage your own finances, and planning for the future. And that brings me to the largest issue there. Planning. I am a planner. I look out for the future. I'm not opposed to wasting some money to do fun stuff when I am young, but I don't want to risk ending up broke and unhappy when I am older because I refuse to get serious in my youth. And this is where our personal views seem to clash to an extent where the good no longer outweighs the bad. She constantly lives in the moment, spends what she can spend, and is sort of used to an easy ride, where the biggest thing she never had to worry about are her grades. But for me, I've faced financial issues since I was young, so I know the value of money, and I know that planning can spare you a lot of hurt. I'm not saying either of our views are superior or better. I am saying when you're supposed to be a partnership but you wildly differ on the most basic functions of that partnership, there is not much hope. As a result, I realized I did not see myself getting more committed to her, which means you sort of hit a roadblock in your relationship. I mean, I am not a fan of marriage from the get-go, but after such a long time, if you're not even remotely considering it, there's probably a larger issue. This argument about finances brought up a whole load of other issues for me, and honestly, I sort of started to dread what in my mind looked like me being expected to fund a lifestyle I from the ground up do not agree with. I realized I was losing my own self-worth by accepting this sort of stuff, and I realized that the fact we had an argument about my money and her demanding to spend half of it made me feel like a glorified ATM. Now, the breakup was really messy and her dad was a rock during the entire thing. He calmed the situation down a lot, despite him really hating what was happening, but I think he understood. I can't say I'm not gutted about all of this. After all, this is someone who I was with for roughly 3 years, and getting used to not having her or a family who I was really close to is difficult, but in the end, after the initial dust settled, I sort of feel liberated and a lot happier than I did a few weeks ago. I wish her nothing but the best in the future, and I know it has to be without me. As for me, I sort of feel like I get to start over. Hopefully find someone a lot more suited to me in the future, but I won't be actively looking. I won't be actively looking for me, as honestly, being single after such a long time in a relationship feels nice. I get to focus what little free time I have on myself, which is something I have not been able to do for a long time. I get to indulge in my hobbies properly and so forth. Anyhow, I want to thank everyone for their advice, and if I was rude to anyone, I'm sorry, but at the time, I was in a shitty emotional position. But I am doing a lot better now. So whether you figured I was a douche and completely disagree with me, or whether you think I was a good fella and figured I was right, or something on the extremes or in the middle, thanks for your advice. Now, to me, it always felt like it was going to go down this path. I mean, it may not have. They may have talked things out. They may have come to some sort of compromise, but the way it was worded, the way it came across, it just felt like, they were too far on the opposite sides of what they wanted, incompatibility in some ways. But what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from Fantastic Ad 9067, who says, "Am I the arsehole for leaving the restaurant after my boyfriend refused to pay for my meal? I had lent my boyfriend some money a few weeks ago because of something he needed, and he promised to pay me back ASAP. He was supposed to pay me back 5 days ago, but something came up and he didn't. I tried to be patient. Yesterday we had planned to go out with some friends at night for dinner. Yesterday after I came back from work, I was robbed in the bus and I had all my money and cards stolen. I cancelled my cards, but the bank customer service told me my new card with my new details, both physical card and the digital details for Apple Pay, would be available the following morning because the banks were closed that afternoon, so I had no money. When we went to dinner with my boyfriend and friends, I told my boyfriend he could just pay me back the money or at least pay for my meal since I have no money. He didn't exactly say yes or no, just a simple, don't worry. As we ordered, he only ordered for himself and told me that he can't cover for mine at the moment, so I better not order anything and just have some bites from his meal. I was so mad and frustrated because he had promised to give me back the money. He then claimed something came up and couldn't give them back, then ordered a nice meal for himself and just told me to get his scraps because he wouldn't pay me back or at least for my meal. I'd be the only one sitting there with no meal in front of me. I said this is ridiculous and I got up and left. Our friends now believe it was very low of me to get up and leave, how I should just be polite and stay there. I can't quite understand that logic, but is there any way I am the arsehole? What? What is boyfriends and friends logic in this whole story? Yeah, you just sit there, watch me eat my food, and then if I got any scraps left, you can have a bit. What the hell? And the friend's pretty much on the same page. You just sit there and watch us eat our meals. Like, who thinks like this? Well, obviously this person does, but I could honestly say, well, I wouldn't be going to a restaurant if I was that low on money anyway. But if I was in boyfriend's position and I was there, you know, she could have had my meal in that situation. If I was one of the friends, I would have offered to pay for that person's meal. And this is without going into the details of, you know, OP being robbed, OP lending the boyfriend money, and splitting up gets thrown around a lot on these subreddits. But yeah, I'll be splitting up. No doubt about it. But RMJo says, not the arsehole. You may want to consider your relationship here. Did you tell your friends and boyfriend that you were robbed? If yes, and then they acted like this, they are not your friends. Edit typo and not the arsehole ruling. Wow, maybe I should go study for my fake law degree. The individual's thinking, I'm actually studying for the bar. It was a joke. I only qualify for Reddit judgments. Even then, I could be wrong. OP replies saying, yes, my boyfriend was the first person I told, and I told my friends before we sat at the restaurant. And that was a question I was going to ask actually. Did your friends know that you was robbed? Had no access to cards or money, etc. So they did know. You told them about it before you sat down at the restaurant. Instead of having, you know, any empathy with you or sympathy with you, you know, that you got their money, etc. You just watch your boyfriend sit there with you, say that you can have some of his scraps, and then get pissy at you for wanting to leave, for feeling humiliated in front of everyone. I'm more pissed off with the friends in some ways. I know the boyfriend is shit in this as well, but holy moly. Swimming Item says, excuse me, your friend said what? Oh my god, I would be fuming. Your boyfriend completely humiliated you, and your friends who were there don't see this as a problem. Dump the boyfriend and the friends, not the arsehole. OP replies saying, yes, they also said I ruined the mood and caused a scene by leaving, and I made it awkward for everyone there. Indie Star says, excuse me, what? Walk out of that restaurant and his life. You shouldn't have to ask him to pay for you in the first place if he was aware you had just lost your belongings. And saying, don't worry, implies he'll take care of it. Jeez, leave him and don't look back. And one more from Happy Positive who says, not the arsehole. After just being robbed, most behavior is a bit forgivable, honestly. So you could have been far worse, and I'd still say not the arsehole. Considering you had just been robbed, even if he didn't owe you money, I think he should have bought you dinner. Hell, I think your friend should have offered too. It's an unusual situation to be in and a bit of a traumatic one, and it's clear you weren't trying to mooch off anyone. Offering you a few bites of his meal was shocking behavior. Even if he was skinned, which his meal choice suggests he wasn't, he could have ordered something small and got you something similar. Ordered a large plate and split it in half, or offered to not eat in solidarity with you and eaten somewhere cheaper with you. So many options were open, apart from the one he chose. And that felt like a British comment with the word of the use skint there, which just means, you know, got no money basically, low on cash, just in case. I'm sorry to come back into this one again, it's really winded me up. The fact that when you sat down and you said you got no money and he didn't exactly say yes or no, just a simple don't worry, that kind of implies to me that, you know, don't worry, I've got this covered kind of thing. Not, don't worry, you can fucking watch me eat the meal and eat my scraps. What the hell, man? Oh, dearie me. I'd be absolutely humiliated to sit there and watch others eat a meal while I did absolutely nothing and expect to be eating scraps while they chuck the bones over to me on my plate. You can finish that, go on. Ugh, dearie me. Absolutely not the arsehole. You was never going to be the arsehole, although the title had me questioning at first. But what do you guys make of this situation? How would you deal with it if it was you? Would this be like one of those scenarios that you said, I'm done with this relationship now? Or do you think there's a way of making it work? Do you think the boyfriend would ever realize the mistake he's made in this? I can't even believe it happened in the bloody first place, but let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, support, and time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for getting involved. Absolutely incredible. If you'd like to listen in a different format, don't forget mark-narrations.com, where you can select your favorite podcast there. There's a whole selection you can choose from. Get involved over there. And hopefully, I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today